Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wellness Wednesday with Britt. This week, we're talking about what it's like to have a chronic illness but no formal diagnosis. It's difficult enough to be sick all the time, but when you have no answers and you don't know exactly what to call your symptoms, it can cause its own set of problems. So this week, we're lucky enough to have Lauren Walters, creator of Life in Limelight, a Lyme disease project that she created based on her best friend's struggle with Lyme disease. She's going to be talking to us about how she lives her life with no diagnosis. So let's go ahead and get into that interview. So today we have Lauren Walters speaking with us about having a chronic illness that is undiagnosed. Lauren is the owner, creator, etc. of Life in Limelight, which she created in honor of her friend that has Lyme disease. She personally has chronic illness, but she doesn't have a diagnosis. So we're going to speak with her about that today. Lauren, thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So I know we spoke a little bit prior to this interview, but if you could just kind of briefly let me know what symptoms, I know you don't have an official diagnosis, but what symptoms or conditions are you dealing with on a daily basis?
So I'd say my main symptoms revolve around like digestive issues. Every day I can be bloated and then in turn very sluggish at times just because my body isn't really, I guess, able to break things down. And then I'm just not getting nutrients because of that. Um, and then if I eat something, my body doesn't agree with, then I can become completely exhausted and then just drained for a few days even. Um, and then outside of digestion, I just have some issues like mirroring endometriosis, which then resulted in anemia. And then for some reason, prior to any of that, I've always had problems with my ankle growing up. So I did ballet and then ended up, I have a screw in my ankle. But having the chronic ankle pain kind of learned to live with it, and I'm not okay with it, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But the digestion issues kind of make it difficult to go on living a normal life, I guess.
Right. So, how long have you been dealing with all of this? I mean, you said you've had the ankle pain since doing ballet when you were younger, but the other symptoms that you've been dealing with, how long would you say you've been experiencing those?
Um, well, I'd say my digestion issues, they didn't really flare up until 2011. It's like 9 years now. When I went to college, that was when I first started seeing a gastro doctor. And because I was losing weight and was in all this pain, couldn't eat anything. Um, and like I remember there was a week where all I could stomach was saltine crackers, and then that ended up making me sick. So it just was not a fun time. And then after I'd say around half a year of that, then he said I had he finally said I had SIBO, the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So just gave me antibiotics. But again, that was like I'd say 2012, which at the time I didn't realize how serious it all was. That SIBO could be caused by something, and then in 2015 I ended up having kidney stones, but they couldn't figure that out for like a few weeks either. And that was a month before graduating. And then but honestly, having the kidney stones wasn't as bad as the SIBO. So that's how bad it was. So
Wow.
it's been about, I guess, 9 years, something like that.
So, that's a long time to be experiencing all of these crazy digestive symptoms that and I mean, and you were going to school during all of this. I mean, first of all, can we just applaud you for getting your degree, getting through school with all of these things that you were going through? That's amazing. I really commend you for pursuing your goals and pushing through despite these mysterious symptoms that were really causing a lot of impacting your life very hard. Um,
Thank you.
so you're welcome. So I know how it affected me, but how would you say um, not having a formal diagnosis of the symptoms that you've been dealing with, how would you say that's affected you? How's that affected your life?
Well, kind of, for me at least, it kind of causes you to question yourself. Um, like, wonder if you're making it all up, especially after going to all the doctor's appointments and they're like, nothing's wrong. And you're like, I know something's wrong. Um, so, at times, which is kind of bad, but it kind of makes it less real. Um, and you don't know, you don't have a name for it, so you don't know what to call it. Um, and you don't know, because of this, you don't know what to do to make yourself feel better. Either like there's no treatment, you just try things and hope for the best kind of thing. Um, but and then it can be hard, for food stuff, like going to a restaurant or something like that is just totally a nightmare. Figuring out what to eat, and again, not knowing if you'll be sick. And then trying to explain it to family or something like that, because then you don't even know how to explain it anyway. But I really relate to, like the invisible illness community, because of this, the living with something, but kind of carrying on day to day and appearing to be completely fine to the world. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you do have several invisible illnesses. Um, so I know that getting some of your time, which is very precious, was a little difficult. And I really appreciate you setting time aside for this interview because you are an incredibly busy lady. You work full time, you have design on the side, you also run, your Lyme disease awareness website. And I mean, it's Lyme Awareness Month, so May has probably been extremely busy in addition to everything else. How do you manage with having all of these obligations in your life, having the invisible illnesses that you face, not having answers for what you're going through? How do you manage to keep pushing forward despite all of this that you're dealing with?
so I don't know. For me, I think my mom is a huge inspiration for this, just helping others. That's what I saw her do when I was growing up and stuff. We had a lot of sick family, unfortunately. But so for me, I just kind of find meaning in helping others. In a way, not that it distracts you from what's going on, but I don't know. It makes me feel better just knowing I can help someone else. Um, and I don't know. I guess I'm always been pretty hard on myself. I don't know why. I think it might be because of ballet and just how strict that is, just pushing myself past my limits. But yeah, I do work full time as a designer and then have my Lyme disease project. And then during May, which I decided to share a story every day, which is kind of insane. Um, but I don't know. It's rewarding just getting even one comment from someone saying, featuring their story, even if they don't want to share their story, just reading someone else's and relating to it. Like, I don't know. It just makes it all worth it. And yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I love your giving spirit. You obviously have a beautiful, big heart. And I get that, you know, having, when you focus on things outside of yourself, it definitely, it helps. It helps to take that focus off of what you're going through when you start thinking about others. So I think that's amazing, and that's, you know, that's a big key that a lot of people haven't figured out yet. So I commend you for that as well. Um, just to wrap up, for other people that are in a similar situation who have been facing an illness for a long time and they're seeking answers and they're wondering, you know, is this all in my head? You know, what advice would you give to people that are going through a similar situation as yours?
Well, firstly, it's not in your head because you know your body better than anyone. Um, Especially when I had kidney stones, I was like, it would come in waves, and I was like, I'm making this up. And then it would hit me, and I'd like almost pass out. Literally, I would like get tunnel vision. And I was like, nope, not making this up. um, but yeah, so you're not making it up. Just keep keep going. I would definitely say celebrate the little victories, no matter how insignificant it may seem at first, but it makes all the difference. And you might not be who you were or who you thought you'd be. Like I had planned on just being a professional ballerina, and that was who I identified as. And letting that go was really tough, but now you can be something new and better. You have and are experiencing something to grow from, and find things that make you happy again. And if you are sick, maybe you have more time on your hands at home, so maybe you take up a hobby. Think of it as an opportunity rather than like a setback. I guess always reach out for help if you need it. Especially social media is a great um, tool. That's a huge thing about my Lyme disease project is you can talk to people all over the world. And there's so many communities out there, and especially the invisible illness community. You can create your own little like support network of people all over the world, like I said. And I guess my last thing would be to love your body, even though it might seem like it's failing you or failed you. Think of it. Think of all the work it's doing and appreciate that.
Oh my goodness, Lauren, I love, love that answer. That's, I mean, in a nutshell, that's really the most important thing, you know, to love your body and what it's doing for you. And also, I love that you said, you know, your identity or what you may have thought your life was going to be, that, you know, they're different doesn't have to mean that it's not as good, if not better, than what you initially planned for it. So, I love it. You're an amazing individual. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. And um, you just keep keeping on. I mean, you're awesome. I really love your spirit and your your attitude. You have a wonderful attitude about life. So I think that's going to carry you very far in life. So keep up the good work, Lauren. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, thank you for doing this, interviewing other people, amazing people, spreading awareness too, and educating people. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.